External validation does not mean anything. I think it does.
To go to college, get a good job, make six figures, get married, have a family, and that's basically your life.
It's not easy to be a Muslim, female, hijabi filmmaker.
Beta, you still have to get a job, but
People always don't see what goes behind the scenes.
the story of the short mainly comes from like watching how my mom and my sister interacted growing up.
When we're doing something that's this unconventional, we also face a lot of rejections and setbacks.
Like I took on a lot more responsibilities when I was starting at like maybe 8 years old.
It can be difficult emotionally and mentally to execute that, from scripting to directing, editing, and post-production, and I'm sure there's a lot more to it. Not everyone has that confidence or courage.
Oh, I came to America to make things happen, so I'm gonna make things happen.
Hello everyone, welcome to today's episode of the Ramsha podcast. Our guest today is incredibly talented and fearless and bold Sumana, a Desi Muslim American screenwriter and filmmaker based in Chicago. A graduate of Columbia College, Chicago, Sumana's passion for storytelling began from childhood, and despite apprehensions from her friends, from her family, she took the bold step to pursue a career in filmmaking, which is extremely impressive. She recently completed a short film project, Make Them Proud, which is a psychological drama that shines light on mental health and unique challenges faced by a South Asian eldest daughter. In this episode, we will go deep into Sumana's journey of courage, creativity, and navigating complexities of cultural expectations. So, whether you're passionate about filmmaking, storytelling, breaking barriers, I urge you to stay tuned. You won't want to miss this episode. Thank you so much for joining. Really appreciate it. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on. It's my first time, I think, doing a podcast as a professional filmmaker. I wouldn't say I'm like professional yet, but
Give yourself that credit. It's not easy.
yeah, it's definitely been kind of a rough start, or not rough, but like being a Desi Muslim filmmaker, especially a woman, especially as a hijabi. It's been kind of rough getting started in terms of like trying to get like a employment anywhere, anything like that. So as all as our immigrant parents have said, like, oh, I came to America to make things happen, so I'm gonna make things happen, just like my parents did.
Well, that's awesome, and it's always very encouraging and empowering having a guest like you. So really honored to have you here. I would like you to tell me more about your childhood. Your parents. Because you're doing something that's totally unconventional. I call it. It's not the typical desi career. It's not something that everyone does, right? Um, so what were certain influences that you had in your childhood, and how did those influences shape up what you're doing currently?
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Dallas, Texas, actually. My mom, she's a first generation, or no, sorry. She was born in America, born and raised here, and then my dad immigrated from Pakistan, and then my mom's side, they're Indian from Hyderabad. So, they met, and like like they were arranged, and that's how they met. Um, and so like growing up, I had like my mom who was like more Western minded. She was all about, do what you love, like pursue like what you love, working hard, as long as you're happy. That's kind of her mindset. Versus my dad, he came from more of like an immigrant mindset, being like, you come to America to work hard, make money, and provide for your family. So it was like two different mindsets that I had growing up. Um, and like sometimes it was kind of conflicting at times because obviously we are told like to go to college, get a good job, make six figures, get married, have a family, and that's basically your life like after that. um but as a kid, like I never really saw myself being like a doctor, lawyer, engineer, like the typical paths. Like I mean, I was interested in like stuff like that. Like I had my hyperfixations on like science and like other stuff, but it wasn't until I was in, or like when I was like when I was a kid, I had like these little toys like Barbies and Littlest Pet Shops that I would play around with, and like we also had like a camera that I would make videos with my little toys and just like make little silly stories with them. And that's kind of like how I first got into like storytelling and filmmaking that way. I never uploaded them anywhere because like they're just like for fun, yeah. But that was kind of how I started. But I didn't seriously consider filmmaking as a path until I was in middle school. And my school, they offered a video editing class, and I took it for fun. I was like, oh, this is like, oh, like, oh, just putting things together, making silly videos. That's fun. And then I also took a theater class in eighth grade, and I got the chance to direct one of our school plays, which was a really big responsibility because directing is really huge thing. And yeah, like I got a lot of compliments on directing from my teacher, from people who were in the audience. So I kind of figured like, okay, maybe this can be like a real thing. So I brought it up to my parents. They were like, I don't know, like art filmmaking, it's not really like stable. That's the first thing that comes to mind is like, are you going to be financially like okay? And I was like, well, I can make it happen. So in high school, I was in a broadcasting class where we basically produced like a news show. I believe like bi-weekly, and it was like an actual like news setup where we had like a control room, we had a sound stage, and like all this other stuff. It was really cool and really fun to play around with. And we actually got nominated for a state award my senior year, where I was also the director of that broadcast. And I think at that point my parents were convinced. They're like, okay, okay, beta, you can go do film or whatever you want to do.
Because they saw that okay, she's capable to do it and she can take care of everything on her own, so she's not gonna be broke at least. And I think you mentioned about your class teachers appreciating you, right? Appreciating your direction. I think when, as much as we say that oh, external validation does not mean anything, I think it does, because when you get appreciated by people, when you get appreciated by people, it gives you more confidence.
Definitely. And also like my parents, especially my dad, they're very much like we need to see results or we need to see like proof that you can do something.
Yeah.
And I think like so the award that we got nominated for, it's called the Lone Star Emmy. It's specifically for like student work, like in like broadcast and film, and it's like from high school to college, I believe. So the year that we got nominated, it was actually in 2020. So our season got cut short because of COVID. We only had like I think 4 episodes out at that point, but and it was like a goal for my teacher at the time to get a nomination for that award. So the fact that we got the nomination despite having our season cut short, despite all of these difficulties, like I feel like that really goes to show like this is something that we've all seen with our immigrant parents is like they have gone through so many hardships and only to see a positive result.
Right.
So at that time too, like my parents were really proud of me. And once I started college and I started doing more stuff and I started to like really hone my craft and like really solidify what I'm good at, they were really supportive at that point. And even now they're still like beta.
Happens. I can relate to that.
Yeah.
Um, Tell me more about your short film, right?
Yeah.
Make them proud. I mean, we spoke about it, but I
hmm
would love to know, like, how did your personal experiences influence the whole narrative of the film?
Yeah, so Make Them Proud is like you said, it's a psychological drama about the eldest daughter experience, specifically through a South Asian lens. And excuse me. Um, I actually am not the eldest daughter in my family. I have an older sister.
Yeah.
She's 4 years older than me. And I also have a younger brother who's 8 years younger than me, so I'm kind of like the middle child. It's a different type of trauma, but just kidding. Um, but my older sister and my mom, they have a very close relationship, but it's also kind of complicated, or it's more like complex, I would say. Like obviously, I feel like with every mother and daughter in in a South Asian household, like you're gonna butt heads with your mom at certain points. You're
Yeah.
gonna then like the next minute you're gonna be like, oh my God, my mom's my best friend. Other times
Yeah.
you'll be like, oh my God, mom, like why would you say that to me? Like there's a lot of things going on in that relationship, and that's what I wanted to explore with the short film. So the short mainly comes so the story of the short mainly comes from like watching how my mom and my sister interacted growing up, but also inserting my own experiences being just being a South Asian daughter because like I was like what you would call like parentified at a young age. Like I took on a lot more responsibilities when I was starting at like maybe 8 years old.
Wow.
I started like getting more responsibilities, and I had more responsibilities put onto me. So the short also includes like some of my own experience as well. Um, but basically, like in the short film, so my main character Sakina, she has recently moved out to her parents' house and she's independent for the first time. She's learning how to do things on her own. Um, but also like after she moved out, her she finds out that her mother has gotten sick and wants her to come back and take care of her. So in the midst of all this as well, she's learning how to heal and how to um, basically tackle this new chapter in her life. And so she starts going to therapy and she starts seeing a therapist who is also South Asian Muslim. Because I also wanted to represent that there are a lot of South Asian therapists out there. Actually, the script I consulted with a friend of mine. She goes to my mosque. She has a PhD in psychology and she is a therapist. So that's what inspired me to create that character. So she like goes to therapy to figure things out, but then she also is faced with this dilemma of like, should I go back home and take care of my mother and basically kind of restart,
Yeah.
or should I stay where I am and focus on myself and focus on my healing journey? And this like dilemma manifests itself in her developing a habit of picking her skin on her thumbs whenever her mother is mentioned. And throughout the film, that's where the psychological aspect comes in, where her habit is triggered by her mother being mentioned, or she like gets a call from her mother or anything like that. So yeah, that's kind of what the story is
I
about.
think this is my opinion. I can be wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel that when you're working on a story that you resonate very deeply with or
Mm-hmm.
that you relate with, it can be difficult emotionally and mentally to execute that because sometimes you're working on the script or you're directing a particular scene and that trauma comes back
Mm-hmm.
comes back to your memory and then it can be difficult to overcome that at that moment.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that? And did you face or did you feel something similar while going through the process?
Yeah, I definitely think stories that are very deep and that are very um, close to your heart can definitely reawaken those emotions. I would say for me, it was definitely a little bit of that because like I also worked on the script while I was back home visiting my family for the holidays. So being with my mom and being with my family definitely gave me a lot of inspiration for it to finish the script. Um, I and actually my mom even asked me like, "Oh, like what's your story about? Like I want to know." And I feel like the story could also like resonate with her because she is a American-born South Asian daughter. So I feel like this story could also apply to her. So I kind of like mentioned it to her, like told her what the story is, and she was kind of like, "Oh, okay, like that's interesting. Like, is this about you? Do you need to tell me something?"
Yeah.
And I was like, I mean, I don't know how else to explain it to you. Maybe just watch the film for yourself and maybe you can understand. Um so yeah, I think yeah, like it definitely brings those kinds of emotions up. And even like while I was writing the script, and before we shot it, I asked a couple friends to read it, like specifically like who are also eldest daughters. I even had my own sister read
Mm.
it, and she actually gave me like a lot of great feedback. Um, I mean, she also was like, "Yeah, the story hits deep for me too," but she also gave some feedback to kind of bring the experience of the eldest daughter like to life, and like I've had like other friends read it and they were like, "Oh, like I started tearing up like reading the script. Like that really like I've heard my mom say that to me. Like I wish I could say that to her, like that kind of stuff." So yeah.
You know, I it's not easy to be a Muslim female hijabi filmmaker because
Yeah.
you don't see a lot of people like you or like us
Hmm.
in that area, in that zone.
Yeah.
On top of that, when you're creating a short film, it can be very difficult to raise funds for it, right?
Yeah.
um how was that like? Did you face any challenges while raising funds for the short film, and how did you overcome them?
Yeah, I'm gonna be, should I just be honest? Should I
Yeah,
just be candid?
please be honest. That's what we want.
Yeah. So I figured I would have some difficulty raising funds, mostly because um with everything going on as well, like around the world and everything, like there are obviously bigger things that we should be
Mhm.
contributing to, like especially with like donating money. Obviously, there are other things to put your money towards, which I totally 100% understand. So I was a bit hesitant about the fundraising and if I was able to reach my goal. So after discussing with my producer, who's also a hijabi Muslim woman, shout out to Nawal, my producer. um, she discussed the numbers with me and was like, "Okay, we have this number. Do you think we could do it?" And I was like, "Yeah." Like in the back of my head, I'm like, I don't know." But I was like, but if she was confident, then I was like gonna be confident too. So we ended up not raising the entire amount, but we did raise enough to make the film happen, to do production. And like my parents were sending the link to all of their friends. My I was posting.
That's so nice. I mean, that's
Yeah.
amazing to
No,
hear.
I 100% my parents were a huge part of it. They even donated like a certain amount as well.
Yeah,
But yeah, they shared with all their friends. I posted on like Facebook groups. I post on my Instagram like every day. I sent the link directly to people. I talked it up to like people. So we did end up raising. So like our original budget was 15K, but we ended up raising 10K, which again is like really good because like honestly I was, because like it was kind of slow at first. We were getting, I think we only hit like 1K after like a week, so I was kind of hesitant about that. But yeah, we ended up raising enough. We got through production, and now we are currently fundraising to finish post production.
yeah.
So that's gonna be kind of a, it's kind of like I'm starting over at that point with fundraising again. But I feel like now that people have seen like the work that I have done, have seen that like, oh like the story is actually meaningful, it means something to people. I think that also like encourages people to donate as well.
No, that is really impressive. And one thing that I would like to add to this is, when we're doing something that's this unconventional, we also face a lot of rejections and setbacks and
Yeah.
um, backlash. There's a lot of criticism that also comes, not necessarily from our family and people around us, but it can be from the wider public, right? Because
Yeah.
again, you're literally sharing this project of yours with the whole world, and they are
Yeah.
free to comment about it, they're free to judge you on the basis of it. And I know that you're not at that point yet,
Hmm.
and there's still more time for that, but have you thought about this, and how do you plan to navigate through this path if you ever face such criticism?
um I don't think I've faced like criticism yet. Obviously I've gotten some skepticism from like
Yeah,
especially like community members and like extended family, like my extended family members have asked me like, "Oh, like, oh, so you're like a movie maker? Like, what does that mean exactly? Like, what kind of movies are you going to be making?" And I was just honest with them, like, my goal has always been to talk about Muslim representation and South Asian representation, especially like for women, because I mean, I'm sure you've seen like TV shows and movies where the hijabi character ends up always taking off her hijab at the end of the day,
yeah.
and it's usually for her
Freedom.
freedom, or to be free from oppression, or because she has like a boyfriend or whatever. Like like I feel like, I mean, sure, that could be true for some people, that could be
But it's not
true,
true for
but it's not
everyone.
true for everyone, exactly. And like that's not the narrative we should be pushing.
Yeah,
It's not the only one that we should be pushing.
yeah,
So that's what I tell them, like, oh, I'm making films for my community. I'm making films for you, to show your kids when, like when they grow up and they see a hijabi on screen. I don't want them to see someone who is like afraid to be hijabi, afraid to be Muslim. So whenever people like, and like I even when I was talking about my short film, I was first saying like, oh, it's a psychological horror film.
yeah.
But like, I mean, it's not really like psychological horror. It's more like psychological drama with like
Right.
elements of horror. So I remember like when I was first talking about it, people were asking me like, "Oh, why are you making a horror movie? Like,
Yeah,
we don't want to see Muslims in horror movies." And I'm like, I mean, trauma is scary though. Like, there's no
yeah.
other way
So
to
it
talk about
is
it.
a little bit harder. Yeah.
Yeah, like I can't make a comedy out of like someone's trauma, and that's really
Yeah.
insensitive. But I feel like, horror is like a great storytelling device, and like again, trauma is best told that way in my opinion. So yeah, whenever like I feel like every artist, they have a reason for why their art is made that way, and depending on who the person is, if they want to accept that, then that's theirs to accept. If they don't want to accept it, then don't watch it. Like, don't comment on my art
I
if you don't
like
like
that.
it.
I
Like,
like that.
yeah.
Actually, I like that approach. Um, you know, the whole process of filmmaking, even if you're making a short film or even if you're making 1 minute piece, 1 minute video, it
Mm-hmm.
takes a lot of hard work and effort
For
to
sure.
to make something like that, to execute it, right? And people always don't see what goes behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Like there's everything from scripting to directing, editing, and post production, and I'm sure there's a lot more to it, right?
Oh yeah.
Were there any mentors or any programs that or any workshops that you participate in and that really helped you aside from your film school?
Yeah, actually, over the summer, I was honored to be a part of the the career and media development program by the Gotham EDU.
Hmm.
For those who are not familiar, the Gotham is a nonprofit organization specifically to help independent
Oh,
filmmakers.
wow.
Yeah, so I was able to participate in that program over the summer, actually during pre-production and production of my short film. I got to listen to like speakers come in and discuss like their journey and like their approach to filmmaking, and like I also got to work on my own pitch deck for a possible TV pilot I would like to make in the future.
Right.
Inshallah, let's hope.
Sure.
Um,
Inshallah.
yeah, so that definitely helped a lot. And then my mentors. I mean, I don't really know if I've had mentors, because like I guess it's more so like people that I've gone to for advice. So I guess like that would be a mentor, right?
Yeah.
Just so one of them was in my program. Her name is Brandy Berry. She's a
Mm-hmm.
professor at Lincoln University, I
Mm-hmm.
believe. She was a great help to me. And like also like she gave a lot of great advice. Also the advisor for the Gotham EDU, Yoko Komodo. She gave me a lot of great resources to help with my short film, and also just like resources on where to get funding, where to get equipment rentals and stuff like that.
Where do
So,
you get? Tell me more about funding. I
oh
think
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's
So fundraising, for Make Them Proud, we did it through Indiegogo,
okay.
which is pretty typical for
Right.
indie productions. So so like Indiegogo, like you can put like perks and stuff on there too. So that was pretty successful. Like a lot of people were looking forward to the perks. Um, but I also like hosted a couple of events to fundraise. So the first event I hosted, it was like a short film presentation, where I
Wow.
had like short films by other like South Asian and Muslim filmmakers about mental health, and I hosted it at Sweet Void Cinema, which is
Wow.
in Humboldt Park. So shout out to Sweet Void. They were so kind and so generous to let me host my event there. I mean, there was four short films. oh my God, I can't remember off the top of my head right now. But all made by amazing, talented South Asian and Muslim filmmakers. To again like talk about that, talk about like immigrant stories and mental health in our community. So that was very successful. We raised like I think like 400, $500 from
Wow,
that event.
that's impressive.
Yeah. And then the second event I hosted at the coffee shop that I work at. It's called Amber Agave. Shout out. I hosted I hosted a fundraiser there, and we had like a I just had like a little sneak peek for um like for so people would see like oh what they're donating towards.
Yeah.
So I had a bit of a sneak peek there, and people were again really excited about the film and looking forward to making it happen. So yeah,
No,
that's kind of what the fundraising has been.
that's awesome. So it's been Indiegogo and raising money through the two different
Events.
events.
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
that's brilliant. It makes me so happy when I see fellow South Asian Muslims,
Hmm.
especially women, because I am biased towards women, and it makes me happy when I
For sure.
see more people like us pursuing these unconventional career paths and um really challenging certain stereotypes. It's not easy. It does require a lot of courage, but I think not everyone has that confidence or courage to be able to do it. So, if you were to give three pieces of advice to South Asian women who are interested in filmmaking, can be directing, acting, writing, producing, what
Hmm.
would you tell them?
Ooh, piece of advice.
It can be one, two, three, four, however many.
I mean, I don't know how to like condense it into just like one thing. I think the biggest thing would be don't give up.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's gonna be hard, it's gonna be difficult. Like I have thought many times like should I just do something else like because I'm not really seeing like I'm always seeing rejections from grants, I'm seeing rejections from programs and stuff like that. I'm like should I just pivot? But I mean, I'm like barely starting my career,
Yeah.
so I feel like it's too early to be discouraged. But I feel like a lot of people feel that way, so like don't give up, yeah. And also like know who are supporting you, like know like be close to the people who are rooting for
Yeah.
you. Have your circle be nothing but good vibes and happy vibes. You don't
Yeah.
want people in your circle to be putting you down or telling you like, "Oh, like you're a brown girl, like why are you in film? You should be like a doctor or something."
Yeah.
Like or like I've heard many times like in the past like, "Oh, you're going to go into filmmaking like Bollywood?" And I'm like, "No, not I feel like it'd be harder to get into Bollywood honestly because
Yeah.
like I'm not well versed in that industry, but yeah, like people have told me that, and I'm like, I mean, it would be fun to work in Bollywood, honestly, but that's beside the point. Yeah, just be with people who are supporting you. Network, network. Like literally anytime, go to like events, go to film festivals, to go to meetups. Like in Chicago, there's so many meetups you can go to. Like there's so many ways to meet people. So like meet people, meet good people, meet supportive people, and keep them close. And also like as a Muslim, like just stay true to your faith, stay true to yourself. Um, like if you like I know like whenever I get like frustrated or I get like down, like I always think about like what I've heard growing up and like what I've heard in like the Quran and stuff like that. Like, just keep that close to your heart as well, and things will work out for you, inshallah.
Well, thank you so much for all your valuable insights and for really sharing your journey. It means a lot to me, and I think a lot of people will find value in this. It's not easy to do all of this,
Mm-hmm.
especially this young, being an hijabi. It does require a lot of courage, but you're doing it, and I'm so proud of you, and I can't wait to see your short film.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to be on here. Thank you for asking me to be on here, and good luck to Good luck to everyone out there who's into filmmaking, and good luck to us.